I can pinpoint the exact second my marriage ended. It wasn't a fight or some dramatic confession in the rain. No, my wife, Vanessa, ended it with a laugh. A dry, hollow little chuckle in the laundry room that bounced off the tiles and hung there like mildew. She'd just tossed her blouse into the dryer and, without even looking at me, said, "You're lucky I even let you touch me." Like I was some leper who'd won a raffle. This, after decades of keeping our life stitched together, covering her credit card messes, fixing everything she broke, smoothing over every one of her social misunderstandings at dinner parties. She turned back to her humming like I was background noise. I didn't yell, didn't sulk. I just folded the last t-shirt, one from the state fair, back before the veneers, before the Pilates instructor with the stupid name, before she stopped asking how my day was, and I walked out. Halfway down the hall, I heard her phone buzz. Then her giggle. She had a different laugh when she texted him lately. A younger one. The kind that used to be for me. In the mirror, I saw a man with a few more wrinkles than he used to, sure, but also a man who could carve titanium to within half a human hair's width, who led 20 men who didn't dare miss a measurement. I wasn't some beggar waiting for scraps. I was precision. Placeholders don't argue. We execute. Down in my office, I opened a drawer I hadn't touched in months. Inside was a small oak box I'd carved myself after retiring. I'd meant it for cufflinks. Now, it was going to hold something else. Evidence. Her emails were first, messages from her friend Celeste about fun weekends in Ridge Hill. Same dates as those work retreats she claimed were for training. Then the texts, synced to the family iPad months ago without her noticing. Screenshots, timestamps, even a few with location tags still on. He's nice but dull. A placeholder. My life started late. That one I read twice. My knuckles went white against the desk, but I kept my breathing steady. Precision, remember? I saved everything to a flash drive labeled June Justice. 3 backups. One on the drive. One in the cloud. One somewhere she'd never think to look. The box stayed empty for now. Not for long. Vanessa always thought my silence meant surrender. That was her first mistake. She came downstairs later that night, hair damp from the shower, wrapped in that smug little robe she wore when she wanted to play affectionate wife. "You didn't say good night," she said, faux concern dripping from every word. I smiled. "I figured you were tired of touching me." A blink. The smallest flicker of confusion. Then the mask came back. "You're being dramatic." I nodded like she'd just confirmed the weather. "Men like me don't need second chances, Vanessa. We need evidence." She didn't ask what I meant, probably too busy convincing herself I was bluffing. The next few days, I played my part perfectly. Warm but distracted. Asking about her meetings while knowing exactly which hotel she'd actually been in. I even fixed the leaky faucet in the guest bathroom so she could brag to her friends about how handy I was. Let her keep thinking I was harmless. Meanwhile, the June Justice file grew heavier by the hour. Bank statements with strange withdrawals, spa receipts from places I knew she never went alone, and one airline ticket purchased under a fake name that matched the initials of her contractor boyfriend. The tipping point came on a Tuesday. She was heading out to show a property in heels that could break an ankle and a dress I hadn't seen since our honeymoon. "Big client?" I asked. "Huge," she smirked. "Wish me luck." "Oh, I do." I thought, watching her drive off in that beige Range Rover I'd paid for. An hour later, my phone buzzed. It was a buddy from my old shop, a guy who owed me a favor. He sent a photo. Vanessa, leaning over a hotel bar, laughing into the contractor's ear. His hand on her back. Her hand sliding lower. I didn't get angry. I just reached for the oak box. Not for the evidence. Not yet. But to make room for the final piece that would turn her whole world inside out. 2 days later, Vanessa walked right into my trap. Though she'd swear to her dying breath, she was the clever one. She came home from yoga flushed and glowing. The kind of glow you don't get from stretching in a room full of middle-aged women named Carol. Tossed her keys on the counter, poured herself a glass of wine, and leaned against the doorway with that little smirk she saved for when she thought she was smarter than me. "You'll never guess what I did today." I didn't look up from my laptop. "Oh, bought a timeshare with our retirement." She laughed. "Close. I upgraded my phone. All my stuff's on the new one, and I'm selling the old one to some kid from Craigslist tomorrow. I already wiped it clean, so don't worry. No incriminating selfies for you to snoop through." She took a sip, waiting for me to rise to the bait. I didn't. I just nodded, closed my laptop, and said, "Good thinking." The truth? I knew exactly where her wiped phone was, on the charger in the den, powered down but far from erased. Most people think deleting something means it's gone. Vanessa was most people. That night, when she drifted off to sleep in her cloud of lavender lotion and lies, I quietly swapped the phone with an identical model I'd bought off eBay for 30 bucks. Hers went straight into the bottom drawer of my desk, wrapped in a Ziploc like evidence from a crime scene. The next morning, I handed her the decoy on the way out the door. "Don't forget your Craigslist drop-off." She kissed me on the cheek, oblivious, and drove off with a phone containing nothing but stock wallpapers and Candy Crush. By lunch, I had her real one plugged into my computer, running a full data recovery. Deleted texts, photos, videos, even voice memos. And that's when I found it. The voice memo that made the whole oak box feel heavier. Her voice, his voice, a date, a location, and one particularly damning line from her. "Once I sell the house, we'll have more than enough. He won't even see it coming." The he being me. I hit save, slid the file into June Justice, and realized something important. Vanessa wasn't just cheating. She was planning her escape with my house as the getaway car. Perfect, because I just decided she was going to drive it straight into her own downfall. Vanessa thought she was laying the groundwork for her big escape. She didn't know I was laying mines under every inch of her plan. That voice memo about selling the house stuck in my head like a bad song. It told me two things. One, she was serious about leaving, and two, she needed my name off the deed to make it clean. Which meant, if I played this right, she'd hand me every signature I'd ever need to take her down. I started by becoming agreeable. I asked about her listings, her meetings, her personal training sessions with the contractor. I even poured her wine at night, nodding along as she vented about the stress of real estate. The calmer I acted, the more she relaxed. And a relaxed Vanessa got sloppy. One evening, while we were sitting in the living room, she slid a manila folder across the coffee table. "Babe, I've been talking to a financial planner. He thinks we should transfer the house into my name only, just for some short-term leverage on refinancing. Lower rates, you know." I kept my face neutral. "Sounds smart. Where do I sign?" She lit up like I'd just handed her a lottery check. "I'll have the notary come by next week." Perfect. In the meantime, I reached out to a friend from my old life, a contracts attorney who owed me big. We drafted a neat little agreement that looked like a standard quitclaim deed but had a quiet addendum on the back. The kind of addendum that transferred all marital property rights back to me after a temporary refinancing window expired. All it needed was her initials. The day the notary arrived, Vanessa was in her best. I'm a serious businesswoman, outfit, pencil skirt, silk blouse, the works. She signed where I told her, not even flipping the pages. The notary stamped it, shook our hands, and left. Vanessa kissed me on the cheek. "You'll see, this is the start of a whole new chapter for us." Oh, it would be. Over the next 2 weeks, she got bolder. Late nights turned into overnight staging jobs. She withdrew 10 grand from our joint account, just in case something fell through with a client. I didn't touch a penny of it. I wanted her to think she was in control. Then the call came. From my buddy at the title company. The refinancing wasn't real. There was no application. She'd already started the process of selling the house outright. Without telling me, I didn't confront her. I let her keep running. Let her believe she was weeks away from sipping champagne in her contractor's new condo. Meanwhile, I was preparing Act 2. I had the phone dump. Every text, every selfie, every "can't wait to be free of him" rant she'd sent to her boyfriend. I had the financials showing she'd siphoned funds into a separate account. And thanks to that little addendum, I now had ironclad proof that the house, and everything in it, was still legally mine. All I needed now was the stage. Somewhere public. Somewhere she couldn't spin it. That opportunity came faster than I expected. Her birthday. She wanted a casual little get-together at the wine bar downtown. Just friends. Just a toast. She didn't know I'd invited a few friends of my own, our banker, her boss, and 2 of her most lucrative clients. Oh, and the contractor. Couldn't forget him. I even brought the oak box. If you've never seen a predator walk into its own trap, I recommend it. It's better than television. Vanessa strutted into the wine bar like she owned the place. Black dress, diamonds I bought her years ago, and that smile she wore when she thought the whole room existed for her benefit. She kissed air on both sides of my face, the kind of kiss you give a coworker you barely tolerate, then floated off to greet her guests. I sat at the end of the long farmhouse-style table. My guests were already in place. Our banker at one end, her boss 2 seats down, a couple of her high-dollar clients, and of course, the contractor, looking like he'd stepped out of a catalog for men who can't spell carburetor. The oak box was next to my chair. Small, unassuming, heavy enough to make me smile. We ordered drinks. Vanessa was in her element, laughing too loudly, touching her boyfriend's arm in front of everyone like I didn't exist. He smiled back, all teeth and confidence, like a man who didn't know he was standing in wet cement. Halfway through the second round, her boss leaned over to me. Vanessa's been telling us about the big changes coming up. Sounds exciting. I sipped my drink. Yes, change is in the air. Vanessa beamed like she'd just been given an award. We're making some strategic moves, she said. Better positioning for the future. You'll all see soon enough. The contractor squeezed her knee under the table. I didn't need to see it. I could read his reflection in the wine glass. When the food came, I let everyone settle. Let the conversation drift. And then, when plates were half empty and wine glasses were full, I tapped my glass with my fork. The chatter died. Vanessa smiled at me, surprised. You want to make a toast? I nodded. I do. I stood, placing one hand on the oak box. We're here tonight to celebrate Vanessa's birthday. Another year older, wiser, and braver. She tilted her head, curious. She's embarking on a big new chapter, I continued. And it's only fair we acknowledge her initiative. Few people could juggle a demanding career, a personal life, and such a complex extracurricular schedule. A couple of her clients chuckled politely. The banker's brow furrowed. Vanessa's eyes narrowed just slightly. Mark, I'm not sure. I lifted the lid of the oak box. Inside was a neat stack of envelopes. I pulled one out and slid it down the table to her boss. This, I said, is a photo from Vanessa's property scouting trip last month. The one billed to your corporate card. Her boss opened it, glanced inside, and froze. The contractor shifted in his seat. Vanessa's smile was gone. Another envelope slid to our banker. This one shows a series of withdrawals from our joint account into a personal one, in cash, during business hours. The banker looked at her. This isn't good, Vanessa. She tried to laugh it off. Oh, come on, I didn't let her finish. I pulled out my favorite, an 8x10 glossy of her and the contractor, in a hotel lobby, time-stamped to the same date she claimed she was at a charity auction. I slid it toward the contractor himself. He stared at it, his tan draining a shade paler. Where'd you get this? Public place, I said simply. Public records. Vanessa leaned forward, her voice sharp but shaky. Mark, what is this? Are you trying to humiliate me? No, I said, my voice even. I'm trying to clarify the situation before it spirals. You see, Vanessa's been telling people she's selling the house. What she hasn't mentioned is that she doesn't own the house. Not legally. Not anymore. I reached back into the oak box and pulled out the signed quitclaim deed with the addendum, placing it in the center of the table like a winning poker hand. Per this agreement, signed, notarized, and filed, the house and all marital property rights remain in my name. So, any sales agreements she's made are invalid. And any funds collected under false pretenses, I glanced at the banker, are a problem. Silence. The contractor looked like he'd just realized the ground under him was quicksand. Vanessa's voice trembled with rage. You set me up. I smiled slightly. No, Vanessa. You set yourself up. I just brought an audience. Her boss pushed his chair back. We'll talk Monday, he said curtly, already walking toward the door. The banker was flipping through the documents, frowning deeper with every page. One of her clients shook his head. I think we're done here. The contractor leaned toward her, whispering something urgent, but she shoved his arm away, glaring at me like she could kill me with her eyes. I finished my toast. So, happy birthday, Vanessa. May this next year bring you clarity, humility, and a better choice in company. I raised my glass. To lessons learned. No one drank. She stood abruptly, knocking her chair back, and stormed out, the contractor trailing behind her like a guilty shadow. I sat down, took a slow sip of my wine, and closed the oak box. The banker stayed behind for a moment, tapping the deed. Smart work, he said quietly. Messy but smart. When I left the bar, the night air was cool. Across the street, Vanessa and the contractor were arguing by his truck, her hands slicing the air, his face red. She caught my eye for just a second, and for the first time in months, she looked unsure. I didn't stop. I didn't gloat. I just walked past them, my steps light, the oak box under my arm, and the next phase of my plan already unfolding in my mind. Because tonight wasn't the end. It was just the opening act of her real birthday present. The morning after the party, I woke up to the sound of silence. Not the comfortable kind, the kind where you can hear tension sitting in the walls like it's waiting for the right moment to explode. Vanessa hadn't come home. No staying at my sister's text. No fake alibi. Not even an angry, "You'll regret this" message. Just nothing. That told me two things. She was licking her wounds, and she didn't know what to do next. That made this the perfect window to start the second phase. First call was to Marcus, my lawyer with the bulldog jaw. She took the bait. Every bite. I said, time to pull the trigger. We filed two things that morning. A restraining notice on all joint accounts, meaning any dollar she touched now left a legal trail. A lease pinned ends on the property, officially putting the county on notice that the house was tied up in litigation. If she so much as tried to show it to a buyer, she'd be met with a wall of red tape. Then I made my second call to the county building department. I gave them my concerned citizen follow-up about the unpermitted deck and unlicensed contractor. By lunchtime, I got an email back. An inspector had been assigned, and penalties could include fines, forced demolition, or both. Meanwhile, the contractor was now on their radar. 2 days later, Vanessa broke radio silence. "Vanessa, we need to talk." Me, my office, 2 p.m. She showed up right on time. Tight black blazer, hair done like she was interviewing for the role of woman who didn't just get publicly gutted in front of her clients. She didn't sit right away, just stood there like she was deciding whether to yell or cry. "Was that really necessary?" she finally said. I leaned back. "Which part? The truth? Or the audience?" She crossed her arms. "You humiliated me." I shrugged. "You tried to rob me. That's not what this was." "Then what was it, Vanessa?" "Because I've got a file full of bank records, text messages, and a signed deed that says otherwise." Her voice dropped to that dangerous calm she used when she was about to lie. "You could have just come to me. We could have worked something out." "We did work something out," I said, sliding a manila envelope across the desk. "This is the settlement offer." She opened it. The terms were simple. She walked away with her car, her personal belongings, and nothing else. No claim to the house. No claim to my accounts. No alimony. In exchange, I wouldn't press charges for fraud. Her eyes flashed. "You're insane if you think I'll sign this." "Then don't," I said evenly. "And in 3 weeks, the building department fines will hit. Your boyfriend's name will be on the citations for unlicensed work. Your boss will get the full file on your expense errors. And I'll have no reason not to share every text and photo with the clients you paraded him in front of." She swallowed. I could see her calculating the fallout, adding up how many people she'd have to explain herself to. "This is blackmail," she said. "No," I corrected. "This is an exit. A clean one. Take it, and you can still tell yourself you chose to leave." She didn't sign. Not that day. But she took the papers, which meant she was thinking about it. The next week was quiet, at least for me. For Vanessa, not so much. The contractor called me on a Wednesday afternoon, which was surprising because I'd never given him my number. "What the hell did you do?" "Excuse me. I just got a letter from the county. They're saying the deck needs to be torn down or I'll get fined $5,000. "That's rough," I said. "But if you're licensed, it's an easy fix." Silence on the line. "Look," he said finally, "maybe we can work something out. Between men." "Sure," I said. "Between men, here's my advice. Stop building things you can't stand on." Then I hung up. By Friday, I heard from a mutual friend that Vanessa was staying at a friend's spare room, claiming I'd gone crazy and was trying to ruin her life. I didn't bother correcting the record. The following Monday, Marcus called. She signed. Just like that, the settlement was done. She was out. No court battle. No drawn-out war. But here's the thing. This wasn't revenge yet. This was just clearing the board. The real move was still to come. 3 weeks later, I hosted a small gathering at the house. Just a few neighbors, some old friends, and, thanks to a little word of mouth, most of the same people who'd been at her birthday party. The oak box was in its usual place on the desk. Inside was a small stack of glossy postcards, each with a photo of the new backyard, deck gone, yard cleaned up, and a big, coming soon banner for my home renovation business. Yes, my business. The one I'd quietly been setting up with the help of Marcus and a couple of contractor friends with actual licenses. When the guests asked about it, I told them the truth. House is mine, deck's gone, and in a month, this place will be the model for my new company. We'll be specializing in fixing other people's messes. Somebody laughed and said, "You should hire Vanessa's old boyfriend. He's got experience making messes." I smiled. "We prefer to work with professionals." The news spread. Within a week, Vanessa's old clients were calling me for referrals. Her reputation in the local market? Let's just say if she listed a lemonade stand, the health department would inspect it first. The final nail came in the form of a certified letter from the building department addressed to her. Since she was the one who'd contracted the work, she was responsible for the fines. I didn't lift a finger to interfere. 1 month after she left, I got a text from an unknown number. "Unknown, you got what you wanted. Are you happy?" Me. I didn't get what I wanted. I got what I planned. There was no reply. I closed my phone, looked around my quiet, solid house, and thought about the irony. She'd call me boring. Predictable. She wasn't wrong. I am predictable. If you betray me, I will dismantle you with precision. And I'll do it with a smile. 2 weeks of silence. Then, a letter. It came in one of those expensive cream envelopes with her new, personal stationery watermark in the corner. I opened it expecting venom. What I found was worse. Desperation wrapped in charm. She'd written that she regretted how things ended and wanted to clear the air for the sake of mutual acquaintances. Translation: she wanted me to stop talking to people. She even offered a gentleman's agreement, where we'd both respect each other's privacy. That wasn't her last card. That was the smokescreen. The last card came 3 days later, served papers. She was suing me for defamation and interference with business relationships. Cute. Marcus read through the filing while sipping coffee like it was a stand-up comedy set. "This is fluff. She's trying to bait you into a settlement." "Perfect," I said. "Let's bait her back." We filed a counterclaim, not for defamation, but for fraud, breach of fiduciary duty, and restitution. And because I had her signed quitclaim deed, financial records, and the text where she spelled out her plan to take the house, it was basically a pre-packaged gift to the judge. When her lawyer saw our evidence list at the preliminary hearing, Vanessa's smile cracked for the first time. The court date was set 6 months out. She thought that gave her time to rebuild, to gather allies, to spin her narrative. What she didn't know was that I'd already cut off the oxygen to her little social circle. I didn't badmouth her. I didn't have to. I just showed people things. Quietly. Over coffee. Over beers. Screenshots. Bank withdrawals. That hotel photo. The timestamp on the deck inspection notice. By the time spring rolled in, her referral network was bone dry. She'd gone from closing high-end properties to fighting for low-budget listings 2 towns over. The contractor boyfriend? Gone. Word was, he moved to another state to dodge fines. I kept renovating the house, posting progress pictures online. People loved the before and after shots. They especially loved the captions. "Always hire licensed contractors, and a good foundation is everything." Vanessa had no idea I was quietly building a client list of half the people she'd worked with. The day we went to court, I wore a navy suit and the calm of a man holding a winning lottery ticket. Vanessa wore white, like she thought the judge might mistake her for innocence personified. Her lawyer made an opening statement about a man scorned and petty retaliation. Then Marcus stood up and laid out a neat timeline. Vanessa's secret account withdrawals. The fake refinancing pitch. The quitclaim deed she signed without reading. The text messages about selling the house behind my back. Finally, he produced the voice memo. The judge leaned forward as her own words played. "Once I sell the house, we'll have more than enough. He won't even see it coming." Vanessa's lawyer objected. Overruled. By the time Marcus was done, the case wasn't about defamation anymore. It was about her credibility, her finances, and her very public attempt to commit fraud. The judge dismissed her suit entirely and awarded me restitution for legal costs. She left the courthouse with her chin high, but her eyes glassy. 2 months later, the renovations were done. The deck was rebuilt, permitted, inspected, flawless. The kitchen gleamed. The landscaping looked like a magazine spread. And that's when I listed it. Not to sell to just anyone. No, I sold it to a developer. a friend of mine, who planned to turn it into a short-term luxury rental. The kind of place Vanessa would see on social media. The kind of place she'd never be able to step foot in again without paying $400 a night. When the sale closed, I moved into a smaller place closer to the lake. Paid in cash, debt-free, stress-free. On moving day, I left one small box at the old house for the new owner to find. Inside was a single envelope addressed to Vanessa. No return address. It contained one photo, her and the contractor in that hotel lobby. On the back, I'd written, "You were right. I didn't see it coming. But you didn't see me coming, either." No signature. No phone number. Just closure. I never heard from her again. But every so often, I'd get a random text from an unknown number. Links to luxury rental listings of the old house, or a photo of the deck in the background of someone else's vacation post. I never replied, because my revenge wasn't loud. It wasn't messy. It was permanent. And that's the part she never saw coming.